Good morning, people. Welcome to 1111 at the Garden. How's everything? Excellent. I'm Brad Thompson. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. You know, I got to say, I took 2 weeks off this at the beginning of this year, and it's so fantastic to tune in from miles and miles away and see Elena and the band playing and leading this service so excellently. I really want to say I appreciate you guys. It sounded wonderful. It was effortless and smooth. So I'll be taking more time off this year as much as I can. No, it's okay. It is time to get started, and as always, this first song is provocative and interesting, and just hang on. Here we go.
See what's become of me. Time, see what's become of me. While I look around for my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Look around, leaves are brown, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Hear the Salvation Army band. Down by the riverside, it's bound to be a better ride than what you've got planned. Carry a cup in your hands. Look around, leaves are brown, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Hang on to your hopes, my friend. That's an easy thing to say, but your hopes should pass away. Simply pretend that you can build them again. Look around, grass is high, and you're right. It's the springtime of my life. Seasons change with the scenery, weaving time in a tapestry. Won't you stop and remember me? Brown, leaves are brown, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Look around, these are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, these are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, these are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground.
Nice, y'all.
Good morning, all. All of us here and y'all at home, welcome. Today I would like to share is Australia Day. I discovered that as I took this assignment to lead our welcome candle this morning. And it's so interesting, this day is called, in Australia, Australia Day. Wow. But also Foundation Day, that's nice. But also Survival Day, and also Invasion Day. So, isn't that interesting? Who writes history? On this date, in 1788, the first ship landed at Sydney Cove, which is now New South Wales, and this was a ship full of convicts that came to settle this new land. And they encountered these people, the Aboriginals, who had been there for, it's been determined, around 80,000 years. successfully living their lives, their philosophy, their religious beliefs. The closest the English could determine was the dreaming. And I think that speaks to kind of where we are in our exploration. The dreaming reminded them that they had all been one, that from the time memorial when humans, animals, birds, fish, geographic features, weather elements, and everything all was mixed together. And as they moved through life, their job, the humans, was to remember this kinship and be custodians of the kinship and continue the dreaming. So I just thought that was a lovely thought. To encourage us as we speak, I'm sure they have a thought. They may not even need to speak it or share it, but I know they would agree. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again.
Thank you so much, Sharon. That was great. Hey, group, it's time to stand and sing as a big, happy corporate gathering right now. Not corporate like a here we go. Familiar hymn, but maybe some more newer, thoughtful lyrics that we use these days. Elena's going to lead this one, and let's rock it out. Verse 1 starts now.
God of movement, work inside us. Send your rain and nurture us all. Tend our roots and hearts, excite us. Help us hear your ancient call. In our pain and in our laughter, present ever throughout all our days. Here before and now and after, may all living things give praise.
Verse 2.
As a tiny seed is planted, roots emerge and growth begins. So we ask our hearts enchant and bring your kingdom forth from within. Love unquenchable, hope unstoppable, rain of justice with no end. Use our lives and make it possible that in your garden we may tend.
Verse 3.
Send us forth to sow and scatter seeds that grow your kingdom on earth. Make it clear the ways that matter, those which bring new life and new birth. Through your people, bring your healing in our lives and the fruits that we grow. Evermore your kingdom revealing. Now's the time to plant and sow.
Big finish.
Evermore your kingdom revealing. Now's the time to plant and sow.
Very big finish. Well done. Okay, folks, now's the time to take a moment and offer one another a sign of peace. Find a new person you've never talked to. Come on.
Okay, I'll invite everybody to find a seat. Good to see you all out this morning, braving the elements, which a little bit of rain out there, a little bit of moisture, a lot of four-wheeled vehicles and massive dualies. As the stock show is going on this week and last week and next week, I think for 2 more weeks, in fact. So there's just a little bit of traffic and congestion here and there. So good to see you all here. And nice to have you all with us online, whether you're at the church site, the First Methodist site, Fort Worth, or you may be on Facebook and watching. We're glad to have you with us. Let us know that you're there. Also, let us know that you're here. You can scan it, code, and you can sign it, or you can fill out a card on your way out, that sort of thing. This morning, we have kind of a special thing happening. We don't do this very often, even though people will come up to me every now and then they go, hey, do people ever join this place? Do people ever join this group? And it's like, well, yeah, we do, actually, but it's like not the big emphasis. And yet, we emphasize that we're all part of this co-conspiracy, we call it, because it is a bit of a counterintuitive process that we're about, this idea of rethinking faith in whole new ways and being in an open space. I mean, 1111 really is this space that First United Methodist Fort Worth provides, this space that's counterintuitive even to traditional church, traditional theology, because it's a space where people come who have sort of been disenfranchised or who have felt disconnected or dissonant with all of that faith from the past, for any number of reasons. This is a space that is open for curiosity and guided, though, by a couple of core values, which you can always see. We've got them out there on some sheets and information about us and our core values and practices, so you can always go check that out. But this morning, we have somebody who's joining with our group and conspiring with us. I'm going to invite Becca to come up, and we can welcome her in just a minute. Because we do things a little bit differently here, we don't join. People come on up here next to me. Yeah. People don't join in traditional ways by, you may be coming from a transfer of another denomination or another church, or you may join by profession of faith. Profession of faith in here is really this profession that you're joining in with the journey with us. It's kind of a conspiracy, a commitment to this idea, and it is a conspiracy. It really is very counterintuitive what we do here. And yet, it works because we are learning how to allow space for us to be present with one another, as well as present with Spirit in our own lives. And what does that even mean, and how does that mean in relation to others? How do we do that? And so we have this space that is so unique. And so our process of joining is really to to profess a willingness to join in that journey. So I ask a couple of questions. This first one, which is 1111 is an open, inclusive, and inquisitive conspiracy of seekers and doers who are in search of better questions to ask about God, faith, and life, and to ask questions about how we might live more fully on the path of shalom and God's kingdom. Will you conspire with us? By the way, this is Becca Newman. I haven't introduced her. I haven't introduced Becca. And Kagan's been talking with Becca quite a bit and visiting with her, and they've had some coffee and meals together. But Kagan's sick this morning, so she's with us online watching. And so Kagan was going to ask this too. But Becca, will you conspire with us as we seek to follow the life and teachings of Jesus with lively curiosity, seeking compassionate connection in all of our moments?
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah. And that's harder said than done, huh? Yeah, it really is, because I ask you all this all the time, and it's like, yeah, kind of. And then I see what you post online, and I'm going like, they still don't get it. I don't know. It's so hard. Also, though, we are traditionally a part of the United Methodist Church, which is such a unique, rare thing. People, there's nothing like this. There really isn't. You go look. When you find something like this somewhere, let me know, because I'd love to get to know them too. But there's really just nothing quite like this. And so we're so fortunate to be a part of this larger worshiping community, which is First United Methodist Fort Worth. And so we ask this of everyone joining the Methodist Church. Will you, with all of us, endeavor to uphold this relationship with your prayers, your presence, your gifts, and your services?
Yes.
So she's agreed to be a part of this conspiracy. Becca Newman, so good to have you with us. So I'm going to invite the folks to come forward. I'm going to invite Jakey and Jennifer to come forward, and they're going to pass this around. As we support the larger ministries of First United Methodist Church, which continues to inspire and support this work that we do here. So it's really a beautiful relationship and a very unique one. So a couple of other quick things that I might announce. There's a UMW meeting happening on February 4th. That's a week from this Tuesday. So hope you can join with that. UMW is an amazing organization. United Methodist Women, United Methodist Women, United Methodist White Women, White. I didn't know what you were saying. United Methodist Wise Women, yes. Anyway, the UMW does amazing things around the world and provides for a lot of different ministries of service in the world. And so I hope you can get a chance to go be a part of this luncheon next Tuesday, a week from Tuesday. There's other things you'll see on the back, but for now, that's enough for now. This is our question today as we finish up this series. What is it that you know you don't know? Think about that. And as we prepare for our time of Kairos.
To set up this Kairos time, we always like to pick an appropriate song. Kairos is all about time and how we perceive it, and so this song is incredibly slow, so it gives you plenty of time to think about time. We want you to join along and just see if you can bring our collective heart rates just down to hardly anything. You're going to enjoy it, I promise. We'll sing right here. Actually, right here. The higher you climb, the more that you see, the more that you see, the less that you know. The less that you know, the more that you yearn, the more that you yearn. the higher you climb, the farther you reach, the more that you touch, the more that you touch, the fuller you feel, the fuller you feel, the less that you need, the less that you need, the farther you reach, the higher you climb, the more that you see, the more that you see, the less that you know, the less that you know, the more that you yearn, the more that you yearn, the higher you climb.
That was lovely, as always. Good morning. I'm Cynthia Powell, and I'm delighted to be guiding Kairos this morning. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? Lots happening. And I try to think of a word, a daily word that really called to me, and so I looked through my files and I found strength. If I identify solely with my human nature, I may feel daunted by my cares and duties and by the state of the world itself. When I feel ill-equipped to face troubling situations or uncertain circumstances, I remind myself I am never without the power of divine strength within me. The awesome strength of divine is inexhaustible and without limitation. Anything I may be called to face is no match for divine strength. As I grow in spiritual understanding, I realize I need not pray for divine help. Instead, I claim the strength of divine as an aspect of my divine identity. I affirm, divine strength is mine. I am strong in spirit. As these words grow my consciousness, I feel better able to keep life's struggles in perspective and remember that I am strong in divine. So I thought that this probably would be a good Sunday for a loving kindness practice, or compassion practice, or metta practice. So I'm going to invite you to be in a comfortable position, relaxed, yet alert. Perhaps just taking a few moments to feel sensations of breath within the body. Tuning into this precious present moment. And I invite you to close your eyes or gently lower your gaze if you haven't already. This can sometimes help with the mind-body connection, help us to be a little more present in the moment. And I'm going to invite you to bring someone to mind, a loved one. Someone that you love, someone who loves you. Imagine that they are sitting right in front of you, looking into your eyes. And I'm going to invite you to say to them silently, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. Again, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. I'm now going to invite you to turn this loving kindness practice toward yourself. Tuning into your mind, tuning into your body and your spirit, saying silently to yourself, may I be safe. May I be healthy. May I find peace. And once again, may I be safe. May I be healthy. May I find peace. Now the invitation is to turn your attention to someone that you might be in a disagreement with. Mild to moderate. Disagreement, some frustration, uncertainty. Saying to this person silently, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. And again, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. Now the invitation is to turn this loving kindness, this metta, to all individuals, all creatures, throughout our country, throughout our world, and saying to them, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. Once more, may you be safe. May you be healthy. May you find peace. And as we bring this guided practice to a close, you may want to bring some gentle movement to the body, perhaps wiggling the fingers and toes, perhaps rotating the wrists and ankles. And I'd like to close with a quote. When I think of someone who certainly embodied strength and compassion, I thought of Coretta Scott King. She was a lifelong human rights activist for social change and peace. She was the founder of the King Center. She was among the most prominent leaders of our time. And she stated, freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it with every generation.
Good morning. Today's gift of story is in the book of Job, chapter 28, numerous verses. You know that silver and gold come from a mine before they are refined. Iron is dug from the earth, and copper must be smelted from rocks. You know that people can light up the darkest hole in search of ore. We drive shafts into hillsides in remote and uninhabited regions. We dangle and sway on ropes deep in the ground. On its surface, the earth produces bread, while underneath it's a violent cauldron of fire. But where does one find wisdom? Where is the place of understanding? We don't know how to get there. Is it to be found in the land of the living? Is it here? Asked the abyss. What about there? Asked the sea. It is hidden from the eyes of the living. It is hidden from the birds of the air. Perdition and death say, we have only heard rumor of it. Only God knows how to get there, for God is where it is. For the Most High looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under heaven all at once. When God gave wind its movement and measured the breadth and depth of the waters and made the rules for rain and designed paths for lightning, God beheld wisdom and named it, confirmed it, and tested it. Then the Most High said to us all, reverence for God, that is wisdom, and to shun all evil, that is understanding.
Appreciate your reading that. It's a long text. And I also appreciate the Kairos practice this morning. It's appropriate indeed because if you think about what it is that is being written, this is wisdom literature, and it's as old as maybe 3,000 years old, 2,800 years old. Job is a very old document. And that whole story about Job, which is, the basically just a metaphor for how we all experience these horrific or challenging or completely upending realities in our lives. And where is God in all of that? Where is wisdom in all of that? This is coming towards the latter part of this story. So we've already experienced all of the ups, the downs, and the darkness that Job has gone through. And now this question of, well, where do you find wisdom in all of this? And it's interesting because we read the end and we say, oh, well, God's wisdom. That's it. We trust God. But like so many things in our lives, words and linguistics carry meanings that are seldom thought about, that are seldom investigated. Instead, we investigate things we can put our hands on, things we can control, and oftentimes what we can't control, we try to control those things, hence where we are right now and the reality that we're in. But the fact is that wisdom is something larger than all of that. And if we miss the point here, I think we do miss the point, that when the texts say, God looked about and beheld wisdom, the wisdom was in everything. And then God said, this is where it is. This is wisdom. So where's God in all of this, if not in all of this? And how then do we participate in that with a sense of wisdom? Well, I think it's difficult because I think we are dualistic people, and we face everything that we do with this sort of temptation to see things as either or, black and white, yes and no, concrete, certain or uncertain, and we try to avoid uncertainty at all costs, so that even when we face difficulties or darkness like we face in these days that we're in, we sort of turn to the familiar, right? And we all sort of chime in with what's familiar. Nothing's really changed when we do that, of course, but it feels good. It feels good at least to be with something that's familiar, even if it's not helpful at all. Isn't that interesting? So I got to thinking about this time that we're in, which is, we call it Epiphany, right? The season of Epiphany. And this series, which is called, intentionally is called Unlearning Unknowing Uncertainty, because this is really what we're invited to on this journey, this co-conspiracy, is unlearning how we think we know what we know, but don't actually know about uncertainty. And it requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of experiment. It requires a lot of bravery or courage or open-heartedness, as Brene Brown likes to phrase that word, courage. And here we have in this story of the Epiphany, which is when the wise men or the Magi discovered Jesus, they essentially saw the light. They saw the incarnation of hope, of love. And it's a beautiful story. And of course, part of that story also is that the powers that be, Caesar in this case, name the power you want to, decided to basically eliminate this light at all costs. And so the wise men, the Magi, whoever they were warned in a dream to go home by another way. Now, I'm going to sing a favorite song of mine. I sing a lot of James Taylor songs whenever I sing songs, which I don't try to sing too often anymore, but I only know about 5 of them. And so I know this one, sort of. I had to go learn it again. Okay, there we go. So I want to offer this song just as a way of starting off where we are with this little series, and then I'm going to offer some quick points about wrapping this thing up and maybe thinking about what this can mean for us today, especially today. So this song, Home by Another Way, seems particularly appropriate. Make sure my guitar is in tune. Those magic men, the magi, some people call them wise, or oriental, even kings. Well, anyway, those guys, they visited with Jesus, and they sure enjoyed their stay. Then, warned in the dream of King Herod's scheme, they went home by another way. Yes, they went home by another way. Home by another way. Maybe me and you can be wise guys too and go home by another way. We can make it any other way. Safe home, as they used to say. You keep a weather eye to the chart on high and go home another way. Steer clear of royal welcomes, avoid a big to-do. A king who would slaughter the innocents will not cut a deal for you. He really, really wants those presents, and will comb your camel's fur. And tell his boys announce they found trace amounts of your frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Best to go home by another way. Home by another way. Well, you figure the odds isn't playing the gods. They say go home another way. Well, we can make it any other way. Safe home, as they used to say. They will never, let's see, keep a weather eye to a chart on high and go home another way. Well, home is where they want you now. You can more or less assume that you'll be welcome in the end. Mustn't let Herod haunt you so, or fantasize those features when you're looking at a friend. Well, it pleases me to be here and to sing this song to you. They say that life is a miracle, and I'm guessing that it's true. But there's Herods always out there, and they've got your card on file. And it's a lead pipe cinch that if you give an inch, well, Herod's gonna take a mile. It's best to go home by another way. Home by another way. Well, you're not this far to a lucky star. Tomorrow is another day. We can make it any other way. Safe home, as they used to say. You keep a weather eye to the chart on high and go home another way. Go home. Well, thanks. Number one, thank you for letting me do that, because I don't get to play the guitar very often, and so that's kind of fun. It's also a really interesting song, I think, because we think of this idea of going home another way as trying to avoid the reality, but in fact, there's no way to avoid the reality. So what does it mean, then, to go home another way, if it doesn't mean the way within has to find an alternative route? Last week, Kagan talked about some interesting things that I want to just tap into a couple of those things. The first thing is that she had mentioned this idea of staying true to what's certain, staying connected to what's certain, The things like laughter and love, the things in your lives that you know are there that are consistent, they're also universal truths. She also mentioned this word habitas, which I thought was a fascinating word. When I look back at it, it's an interesting Latin word. It doesn't mean a place, it means inhabit the space. It has a whole different meaning. It's not like find a place where you feel safe. It's like inhabit the space you are in a transformed way. The way that Rumi said when he said, be the soul of the space where you find yourself, or wherever you are, be in love. It's difficult because we see so much online, and we're in this reality where there's so much negativity, and there's so much boldness and brazenness, almost braggadocio with a sense of cruelty to it, that it feels really dark. It feels really overwhelming. It feels scary for a lot of people. And as soon as you get online, you start seeing reactions to everything, right? You just tap into these reactions to everything. I don't know, just pull this slide up here. If any of you are fans of Stranger Things, right? If you're fans of Stranger Things, it sometimes reminds me of Stranger Things as if we're in the upside down world right now. If you haven't watched it, it's an interesting show, and while it is kind of a dystopian sci-fi show, there's a lot of metaphorical substance to it that I think is good for our time that we're in. This idea that we are actually sort of in this place, that we're trapped in this upside down reality, and yet that's easy enough to, I think that's where people who are scared often try to force other people to be, in the sense of where everything's upside down and it's chaos. Here's what David Lynch, who recently died last week, the producer, film producer, and writer, he wrote this. This is not exactly how I have it down this way, but don't even worry about the darkness. Turn on the light. The darkness goes. Turn up that pure light that light of pure consciousness, and negativity goes. This is the challenge I think we're in when we try to inhabit the space that we're in, is how do we illuminate the place where we are, the consciousness of where we are? How do we illuminate it in another way that changes the way in which we experience home, right? Another way home. So this word wisdom, which we have in our text, the Hebrew word for this wisdom is rooted in a word that is an Indo-European root word that's, I'm not sure the pronunciation, wide or weed, W-I-E-D. It's interesting because the word simply means to see clearly. Almost like knowledge, which is to be able to distinguish something clearly. That idea of seeing something clear, as if for the first time seeing it more illuminated than before. That's wisdom. But the challenge is that we're not all seeing the same thing in the same way. Most of us are only seeing in part because our assumptions, our biases, our fears, our conditioning, we don't see everything, right? Some of you were here a couple of weeks ago when I did the monkey business video, and I showed the people passing the ball to each other, while meanwhile a gorilla shows up in the middle of it. And then about half of you actually saw the gorilla, which is unbelievable because there he was waving in the middle of the group as they were throwing the ball. But you were counting the balls. You see, there are things that we're directed to pay attention to all the while we're being distracted by the chaos. And we're not in touch, illuminating with what is really there. That's the challenge I find. Here's another wonderful example. The 9-dot exercise. Some of you all know this one, right? You know this one, try to connect all the dots using no more than 4 lines. And you try to do that in all the different ways. Some of you, raise your hand. You've done this experiment. You've done this before? No? Some of you haven't done this? Okay. I just ask you to quickly try to do that. We don't want to take too much time right now. I honestly surprised myself in that I couldn't figure out how to do it at first. And then I was really mad when it was shown how I could do this. And this is how we face so many of our problems. We realize there's no way to do this. It's just not possible to do this. This reality that we're in, there's just no way other to see this. This is what it is. It's one of 2 ways. And the bad people are doing things right now, and the good people are helpless. And there's just no way to change this. And of course, there is other ways to deal with things like this one. Let's see the next solution. This first solution, go outside the box. Just go outside the box. Start one end and then go outside the box, and then go outside the box at the other end. There's another way to do it. You can do it another way. You can also do it that way. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You can do it with 3 lines if you're really clever. But the problem is that we don't stop to question our assumptions. We allow the conditioning to define the reality. And the challenge is there's not a whole lot of people out there saying, oh, by the way, here's an alternative way you can look at all of this if you'd like to. Come join us. We're the alternative community. We see the bigger picture. And it's not really all that appealing. We'd rather just fight or run. Those are both easy ways to deal with things. So here's some quick ideas about how we might change uncertainty and unknowing. The first one here to navigate unknowing, I want to put this up, is be the light, illuminate interconnectedness. Let's see if we can put that first slide up here. Now, this idea of illuminating interconnectedness is really challenging. So here's it. Here's the challenge. Let's all look at Elon Musk and see the light in him. See the conditioning, right? So hard to get out of the conditioning. So hard to see what he does and to react to it with such anger and visceral sort of just feeling in our body. If anything is causing us to react, my suggestion to you is that's the wrong response. That's not wisdom, that's reaction, that's fear, that's anxiety, that's braggadocio, that's arrogance. It's not wisdom. Wisdom sees the meta picture, which is why I love the meta exercise. Wisdom sees the bigger picture of our interconnectedness and just recognizes that some people don't get it at all, that our whole culture isn't necessarily oriented to it, and so we get to be the light. Even when Jesus, in the Gospel of Luke, the reading for today, if we had used the actual lectionary reading, he's there pronouncing from Isaiah, the person who pronounces health, pronounces wellness and liberation and freedom and healing to those who are oppressed, to those who are captive, etc. And he says, he closes the book and he looks at the crowd listening to him, including all the leadership and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all those in the distance, and he says, this reading is now fulfilled in your presence. And they all get pissed, except for those who need it. They're going like, well, thank God someone's listening. But the rest of them are going, you're an idiot. Get out of town. Even his own people, it's his own hometown, they say, get out of here. Because we react out of our anxiety and our conditioned fear. Slide one. Step one. You have to be able to see and illuminate this bigger picture, this meta picture, that we are interconnected. And I defy you to try and find some light where you think there is only darkness. Second thing, break up your conditioning. Let's go to this next slide. We got the next slide there? We might have skipped one. Let's go back to the one that says pause and notice you're activated. There you go. I call this breaking up your conditioning because we do react. We react automatically to things. Break up your conditioning. Notice where you're reacting to things, where you're feeling dysregulated, where you're feeling upset, pumped up. You'll notice one of the things that Brad said when he began the song, he said, let's just sing this slow until we can bring the heart rate down, right? Because our heart rates are all going, we come in here even with anxiety we don't know of. We're just bringing it from outside into here. What is triggering you? Recognize what triggers you and find ways to unpack that, to question it. And so here's the next slide then, the next image. I call it crazy women. Crazy women. Crazy. There's a lot of faux pas going on here, Freudian slips. Rumi said, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. This is crazy wisdom, this idea that we are actually questioning our own natural responses, that we're actually thinking about them curiously, to approach them and think about. But think about this. You have a lot of emotions, right? In any given moment, you're feeling some emotion. That's okay. Own the emotion. Be present to the emotion. But then ask yourself, what if I tried a different emotion? What if I tried laughter at this moment instead of anger? Let me just try it. Just try it. It's crazy. Try it. And stay with it. Live it. Actually embody it for a moment. Sometimes we feel like the only way we can react to the way things are going on, whether it's our emotional lives, our personal lives, our political lives, whatever, we feel like we have no choice. We are such powerful, enlightened beings with so many possibilities. Change your emotion. Change your conditioning. It's crazy. Buy bewilderment for a change. The next one. The opposite of fear is curiosity. When you find yourself being scared, I found myself looking at Elon Musk when he did the whole Heil Hitler thing. I found myself looking at that going like, oh my God, Nazism and fascism are here to stay. And I had this immediate visceral reaction. And then I asked myself, this can't possibly be the picture. And so I started doing some reading. And I realized the picture is bigger than that. The picture is all about destabilizing and distracting. The picture is all about getting our attention elsewhere. Meanwhile, wealthy people continue to make, really wealthy people continue to make really incredibly sinful amounts of money, you know. Our reality continues to be divisive because we simply operated out of reaction and fear. The bigger picture says there's a whole nother story. And that other story is that we are interconnected in this divine light. We just don't all see it. Be curious about the thoughts in your mind, the sensations in your body, the thing that you fear, other people's reactions, the meaning of this that this fear has and the origins of it. Be curious about it. Let me ask you, when you find yourself telling you these stories that you tell yourself all the time, and you can't get them out of your head and they're driving you crazy, imagine somebody comes to the door. It's an absolute madman, mean-spirited guy. It's like you're inviting him in to follow you around all day, just to say mean, nasty things to you. That's what you're doing. That's what we do when we have these thoughts in our head and we don't let go of them. We don't question them. We've literally invited someone into our house or into our lives to follow us around and tell us this stuff. All we have to do is decide we don't want that person around. We don't want ourselves telling ourselves these things. It's challenging because it means we have to be willing to recognize them and to decondition them. So this next one, these last two slides this last one is Dance with the Chaos. Now I showed this Aikido slide because I loved Aikido when I took it. I can't take it anymore because my wrists, I have basal joint arthritis, and it's really based on moving your wrist around. So there's a lot of pain associated with me trying to do that. What I loved about it was that the sensei often said, life is more dance than conflict. Our teacher said, life is more dance than conflict. But we tend to approach it as conflict, right? We have to learn how to approach it as dance. And the way we do that is how we do these other things, by unpacking, by seeing the bigger picture, by inviting curiosity, by taking risks, by having courage, vulnerability. But as we learn to approach things more as dance than as conflict, we learn to sort of step out of the way of conflict and still invite a dance, which is what Aikido would always do. Rather than try to fight, it would work with whatever energy was present. It's difficult to do that because it's challenging for us to get out of our way of reacting, which is fearful and angry and anxious. But if you do these experiments and if you do these steps, I think you find that you begin to decondition this. So the last thing is this: how much do you really want the world to change? Seriously, how much do you really want the world to change? Because it's easy to stay where we are and to be in the place of fear, anger, and wait till our team gets enough force and enough, substance and supplies and begins to be resources to take over and once again just go back to the same thing. The only way to change the world is to illuminate the interconnectedness. Not to live, next slide please. Not to live what if, because that's where we all are right now. What if this? What if that? Worst thing possible. Instead of living as if. And I invite you, as the band comes forward, y'all come on up, wherever they are. Yep. I invite you then to try this over the next 6 weeks. Give it until the springtime, maybe, into the spring. This last slide. Do these things. Try to focus on illuminating the larger story. Do this meta practice. There's nothing better than wishing the best for the people you think you hate. Nothing better to change your mind about how you're seeing things than to wish everyone health and wellness, and that they see the same thing. Break your own assumptions. Be a trickster of hope. Own your crap, which is essentially stop the parroting, stop the conditioning, decondition your tendency to respond to everything out of the same mindset. Challenge the voice in your head. Don't let that guy in the house. There's no reason to. Be fearless. Fearless is not unafraid and daring. It's basically recognizing with openness, with curiosity, there's more here than I'm seeing. Dance with the chaos. Go ahead and challenge your emotions. And then finally, try investing some trust in your ability to change the world around you. Amen.
Got a package full of wishes, a time machine, a magic wand, glow made out of gold. No instructions or commands, laws of gravity or indecisions to uphold. Printed on the box I see, Acme spilled to words to me. Take a chance, grab a piece, help me to believe it. What kind of world do you want? Think anything. Let's start at the start. Build a masterpiece. Be careful what you wish for. History starts now. Should there be people or peoples? Money, funny pedestals for fools who never pay. Raise your army, choose your steeple. Don't be shy, the satellites could look the other way. Lose the earthquakes, keep the faults, fill the oceans without the salt. Let every man own his own hand. Can you dig it, breathing? What kind of world do you want? Think anything. Let's start at the start. Build a masterpiece. Be careful what you wish for. History starts now. Sunlight's on the bridge. The sunlight's on the way. Tomorrow is calling. This morning, this, that, and love. What kind of world do you want? What kind of world do you want? What kind of world do you want? Think anything. Let's start at the start. Build a masterpiece. History starts now. It starts now. Be careful what you wish for. Start now. Just start now.
for our benediction. Beautiful song. Great job on that song, too. So, home by another way. Be careful what you wish for when you're seeing all that stuff. We're wishing for a lot of things. Let's see the bigger picture, maybe. See where we're pieces of one another and find out how we might build this puzzle in a better way, by another way. So, blessings as you make your way away from here. See you next week. Next week, by the way, is Groundhog Day. Talk about repeating things over and over and over and over. Hope you can be back. Let's see what the future holds together. Y'all have a great week.